Bro, that color cover page, or those two color cover pages. Mainly I want to talk about the second one with the Nami on the front. Did everybody see how that Nami looked on the cover page? Like, I don't think I'm the only one, but oh my, I'm just gonna say right now, if someone was to use that for a thumbnail, I'm willing to bet YouTube might think that's some form of sexual content and probably take down the video. I'm not even joking. The thing is just, if someone was to, like, zoom in on that picture, not show any context at all, it looks incredibly wrong. I just want to point that out. It really does. So, enough of that. Let me just dive into this chapter of One Piece. So, this chapter, we have a lot going on. For one, we have a lot of events going on with Sanji, and we also have a lot of the Straw Hat crew dealing with stuff in the forest that's constantly changing, the seducing woods. Let's get the Nami, Chopper, and that type of stuff out of the way before I continue on with the chapter. So, Nami, in this chapter, she comes face to face with a new princess, a daughter of Big Mom. And we found out that this new daughter is called Charlotte Brule? I think that's how you pronounce her name. Well, however you pronounce her name, she's introduced in this chapter, and instantly, I have to say this, she looks exactly how I would think if you were to meet someone in this woods, because as I said in last week's chapter, this entire forest reminds me of something from either Hansel and Gretel, or something you would see from Alice in Wonderland, and when you see this forest just moving around, the ground is moving and changing everything around, it made a lot of sense to have someone like a villain or something look like a witch, and so seeing this daughter of Big Mom come out and look like a fucking old witch, it makes a lot of sense. It just suits the entire theme of this, so that's something to be expected. But the main thing I want to dive into is the ability of this daughter. So Brule, apparently, from what I can assume, now I could be wrong here, but Brule has some form of mirror ability, some form of mirror devil fruit to be able to shift back and forth with, like, different sides of the same coin. For instance, Luffy was on the right side, but then he shifted over, it seemed like, and it seemed like, Brule was able to make him, like, go into the mirror while she came out, and then switch places with Luffy. That's kind of what it looked like to me. So, something is going on here with this mirror type ability. I don't know exactly how it works, but we can kind of guess it has something to do with that. And also, she can apparently change her forms, because that would mean that since there's a mirror type ability, you could change your appearance to look like someone else, which I don't know exactly how it works to that extent either. So, a lot of questions are raised when it comes to that. So, I really can't wait to see exactly how this is going to go, though, because if there's one thing I really like to see is I'd like to see Nami go up against an opponent, because it's been a very long time. It's been a very long time since we've seen Nami actually have an opponent and fight against one, and also having the other Straw Hats helping her out. I would really like to see a good match with Nami against this, daughter of Big Mom. But that brings up more questions, though. This daughter of Big Mom, Brule, she's old as fuck. She looks absolutely old, which I've already mentioned. Yes, she looks like a witch, but she's the 8th daughter of Big Mom's children. And that instantly lets us know that the other children are incredibly old. Like the other 7, they are very fucking old. Probably even more ancient than what we see here in this chapter. So it raises questions with Big Mom. Big Mom, as we know, her age is in question. She has a lot of children. We found out about this recently. And now with finding out that this daughter looks that old, it just raises questions of how old is Big Mom? The Sanji stuff of this chapter, that's the stuff I really liked. And I really love that part about the chapter because, as we all know, this is the year of Sanji. Sanji has a lot of the focus this year, which he hasn't really had a hell of a lot of focus, but, I mean, he has had a lot more, panel time than the previous year, so it is a start. So Sanji, we get to see a little bit more of how his country is run. Apparently, his entire country, majority of its entire citizens, are male soldiers that constantly train every single day. So the vast majority of citizens in Germa 66 is male soldiers, so barely any women at all, which once again goes more along the lines of how Sanji acts as a character. As we know, Sanji has a thing for women. We know how he is when it comes to women. And now finding out these little subtle details about how, like, vast majority of citizens are male soldiers, and then we see, these maids that were, shown in this chapter, it just raises many questions exactly how does, this country really work, and why does Sanji overall lead, besides, some of the things about how his father operates. There's just many questions we have to wonder about when it comes to this chapter. Which, here's the thing. When it comes to Sanji's family, okay, the Vinsmoke family, they don't seem necessarily as evil as I imagine. Now, hopefully that's not just me thinking this, but looking at Sanji's father, which I'll talk about my impressions of his design in a second, my impressions of the personalities of these different Vinsmokes that are Sanji's brother, sister, and, like his father, and maybe his mother eventually, just, there's many questions, like, they don't seem as evil as we all imagine. They seem like they might be the main antagonist of this arc alongside a Big Mom, but it doesn't look like necessarily it could go down that route. It really seems like Sanji's father really does care about him, and cares about his sons and daughters and all that. He really does care. So, because of this, it makes me wonder, will eventually maybe the Vinsmoke family might become allies with the Straw Hats, or will, something else happen? Because, I mean, with the way the persona was displayed, especially with the way the father displayed himself at the end of the chapter, it didn't seem like a normal type of villain looking at someone. Like, let's look at Doffy, okay? Doffy in the last arc, okay, in the Dressrosa arc, Doffy had this, menacing aura about him to where you could just tell he's a villain, the way he acted. And usually when it comes to One Piece, you could tell who's a villain and who's not. You could just tell by the way they speak, their demeanor. And the way the Vinsmoke family so far has talked, like almost all of the siblings, besides, 2 that we saw destroy the entire country, and even though that was just, business, that was a job, so you can't really say that was necessarily completely evil, even though, I guess, morally it was. It really just depends on how you view it. They're not bad or evil to be evil. They're actually, they have their own reasons for what they do. And also the father seems to want to be able to control all of North Blue once again. He wants to be at that pinnacle point he once was, or his family once was in the past. So I mean, overall, it doesn't seem like necessarily he's completely evil, but time will tell as we go on. So let's talk about the fight. So Vinsmoke, the father, I think his name is Joji. Joji, and his name translation notes was supposedly for judge. Sanji's father wants to have a fist match. Like, men have to talk with their fists. Now, I find that very funny, because as we all know, Sanji's key trait about his personality and his character is that he will not use his fist in fighting. He won't. He doesn't fight with his hands or anything, because he has to keep them safe for cooking. That's what he said in the past. He's clarified this in the past in the early stages of One Piece. That's why he's never used his hand-to-hand combat or anything like that. That's why he always uses his legs and feet. So, with the father saying that, I wonder if we might get any indication of why Sanji might not want to use his hands even before that. I mean, we know why he doesn't, it's because of cooking, but I mean, I wonder if we'll find out if Sanji might be stronger with his hands. Like, if, Sanji was to actually get down and start fighting with his hands, how strong would he be? I wonder if he is stronger in that regard, or maybe, we just don't know. I just wonder how the father is going to react when he finds out that his son will not use his hands to fight, but just his legs. I'm curious on how that, exchange is going to go. Now, besides that, the brother, Yanji, was off-screen, and personally, I gotta be honest here, I'm not a big fan of that. I am not a big fan of Yanji being off-screen. Like, Sanji's, one of his first fights in a very long time, apparently, was off-screen, and I guess it wasn't nothing important, and if it is important, Oda would show it, but it just makes me sad, because, I mean, we haven't seen Sanji fight in a very, very long time, and it makes me sad to see that, that entire fight was just off-screen, completely off-panel. We didn't even get to see it. We honestly wouldn't have even really known about it, though, if it wasn't told to us, so I don't know. It's weird if you think about it like that. So yeah, overall, my impressions of the design of Joji, Judge, Sanji's father, his design, I expected a business suit. I gotta be honest here. I expected a business suit. I expected Sanji's father to carry himself like a noble or something. Not like, the Celestial Dragons, but, something like, someone that's, high class. Someone that has, like, this little bow tie or something. Something with, like, a top hat. I don't know. I just pictured something like that. I pictured a very high-class looking father. But the design of Sanji's father really threw me for a loop. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck type of design is this? So, I mean, I'll probably like the design eventually as we continue on. Just, I thought the father of Sanji would have, a more distinct design when it came to, like, business looking. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.